All right, welcome to the Investor's Guide of Memphis Real Estate. My name is Dean Harris. I am the Vice President of Sales of Crestcore Realty. I'm joined by Douglas Skipworth. You're our, you wear a lot of hats.
Yeah, a lot of hats.
Founder,
That's
principal
good.
broker, and you're our largest client too.
Right
so
on.
welcome to the show. Welcome you guys. We're going to jump right into it today. We're going to talk about the new era of real estate and knowing what to expect. I mean, I feel like we're living, Douglas, in the wild, wild west right now. Back in the day with our holsters and our guns and our cowboy hats, and we just have no idea what's going to happen, right? Well, let's dive into it. I think we probably know a little bit more than what we say and what we're thinking. But you know, today's title and topic is just, this is a new era. This is a new world order of real estate. Things have changed, and I actually think they've changed in the last 3 months more dramatically than they had in the first 3. I feel like we've been going through about 6 months worth of change.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean?
Yes,
I think for
absolutely.
about 6 months we've been adjusting and changing on what's going on. The rates have been going up during that time frame. We're having to buy differently. We're having to buy a different product, and we're having to maybe in some cases some different areas. So let's discuss today kind of what it is that's changed, how to adapt to it, and then just kind of knowing what to expect. When you're selling and when you're listing, my first note was this will take longer. There is no longer the day of every house, I should say, selling immediately once you put it on the MLS. I just got a flip property that I'm doing up in Millington. It took 36 days, and man, I did one heck of a rehab. So in Millington is a desirable market
for sure,
right? So the house, there was nothing wrong with the house, and it took 35 days to sell it, and I sold it for a little less than what I had it listed for. So that's an example right now of what's happening all over. Yeah.
I keep thinking, we talked about this six months ago, be in control. Yeah. Sell now and be in control. I mean, and 6 months ago, 8 months, we were saying that. So now I feel like, hey, we're in Memphis, so it's like the Elvis, like it's now or never. It's like if you're a seller, like go now, do it now, sell it now, because it's like the telegraphed pass from sports. Like, where this is going. We've been talking about this for months and months and months. Yeah. And like, if you had sold then, you were at the peak of the market. Oh yeah. Rates were great for buyers, and things have changed. You still have a little bit more control, because guess what? Next week rates are going up. The month after that, months are going up. So we know that there 2 more are coming. So like, sell now while you still have some control.
I love that comment, because we've said it a million times. And 2, I lost a little on this. I lost a little control. I had to lower my price. Yep. I had to give up some on repairs. I had to do so. That's the example of I'm losing a little grip. I mean, on that property, and I think the longer you wait now, you're going to continue to lose that grip. You still might sell houses now. You can, but you're going to lose some of that control and that grip on your pricing and your terms and all that. It's shifting to the other side.
It is shifting to the other side. Yeah. It is shifting to the other side. The seller, I've sold a couple recently, and I have given more than I was 9 months ago. Yeah,
and somebody might ask the question, well, why is that? Why are you losing control? There's just less buyers in this market. There is way less. I shouldn't say a lot less. There is way less. There are less people in this market trying to buy houses, in really any market. I mean, I used the example last week on the phone with a guy. He was like, Why am I seeing more houses from you? I'm sourcing more.
Right.
Oh, because there's less people buying them.
Yeah.
And so what my instructions are, from the buyer standpoint, let's stay a little bit more particular, and we'll get to that.
We'll get to I was gonna say, from the seller's standpoint, I was thinking, we had some property management colleagues go out to a conference in Vegas, property management conference. You go to one of those big conferences, they got the big expo hall with all the exhibitors. Yeah. And those rooms are always packed with all the booths and everybody giving away and stuff. And then what happens? The talk starts, the seminar, and then it's like everybody leaves. And you have a couple people milling around, but the exhibitors are all there. And I feel like that's kind of what happened with the sellers.
Conference has started.
The talk's going, all right, the keynote's being given, so everybody leaves. And so you're just there as a seller. You're like, all right, how am I going to get people to my booth? What am I doing? How am I using this time to sell that property?
That's right. I love that analogy. The conference has started.
The conference started.
Rates are higher. So some people might say, why is this? Well, because rates are higher, that is going to take some buyers out. I want to talk about this scale real quick. Okay. I think people understand this, but I want to make sure I get it out. If you were buying a $200,000 house rental 6 months ago, 8 months ago, and you qualified for that 200 and that was the max you qualified
And you
for,
financed it.
and you were going, now you're only qualifying for 135, 140.
Okay.
So you can imagine the sticker shock of, wow, a $200,000 house is fantastic. Man, that looks good. Da, da, da. Well, now, because I'm looking at 140, and this just is, now that 140 is nice,
right.
But if your mind is set on a 200 in that market, in that area, in that tenant, you're now back down to the 140 mark, 150 mark, and that looks different.
And from a seller, and we're still talking seller perspective.
From a seller perspective, your buyer, I'm sorry, I should have been more clear. If you're listing a home and you're selling it, the buyer that is out there that is looking at your home qualifies for less. They are not, the buyer that is looking at your 150 listing is not thrilled they're looking at the 150 listing, because just a few months ago they were searching for $220,000 houses.
Yeah.
And if you don't know that, 220 to 260, not a huge difference. 220, 280, a little bit. There is a dramatic difference in the product of 140 and 50,000 to 200 and 210,000.
Right.
It just is. There's a much bigger gap and jump there than there is in those other ones. So know as a listing, know as a seller that you are, things have changed, but
with your buyer
is looking different. It's a different person that's coming in here now to buy your home. So just expect that, along with it's going to take a little longer. Just know that that's a different buyer.
Yeah. I mean, I think about that with the Grizz or something where it's like, maybe a better analogy is kind of like, I grew up in Dallas going to Mav games, Mav ball boy. I mean, just loved the Mavs, and we buy tickets and stuff. Then I think, my folks got to know the owner of the Mavs, and they got all these free tickets. They went to way more games. And when you had free tickets,
of course.
And then he passed away, Cuban, all stuff. So now they got to buy tickets again. So they don't go to as many games. It's just an adjustment that buyers like. They were living in a lot, like my folks, when they were going to all those Mav games, they were living in a dream world.
Of course.
That would not last. That's not reality. And so it's like the buyers were living in a dream world. Now they're coming out of the dream world, and it just takes some adjustment before you start ready to pay for tickets again.
That's the biggest point to get across to people right now is this is just a time frame.
It's an adjustment.
Just in an adjustment period right now, and
correct.
That's it.
That is all it is.
We will get out of this, and the 8% interest rate or 7 or whatever it's going to go to is not going to be nearly as frightening as it is right now.
No,
right? It just won't be.
Yeah.
So I love
historically, that. Historically, we beat that horse to death, but historically, this is just where things have been. We just came through that period where everything was flowing, the beer was on tap, and it was like it's an open bar, and it's like 10 o'clock, and now it's a cash bar.
Oh yeah,
the reception, the parents of the bride said, "All right,
that's
10
enough.
o'clock.
That's enough.
You buy your own drinks."
Yes.
So
because those are the thoroughbreds anyway. Late at night. So one thing,
it's an adjustment.
Yeah, it is. One thing I talked to, I think you about, and somebody else day before yesterday was that. 6 to 8 months ago and a year and a half prior to that, you could put your house up on the market as it was sitting and it's gone. You didn't have to do one thing to your house. The buyers were so willing to buy and to get into it, nothing.
Yeah.
So on my notes here, I wrote, prepare your house, basic things, make it more appealing. So whereas the last couple of years, you probably could have just hired any agent to put it on the market and didn't do anything and it would sell. It's not that way anymore. You're now in competition.
This is a great point. Competition. That's what I thought. I was like, basically you're in front of the judges now.
Yeah.
Whether you're whether on one of these reality shows, I immediately thought of like a bodybuilding contest.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody's doing their different poses, and like you're up there posing
in front of
your buyers, but you're posing against other people.
Yes,
it's like the pose down where Schwarzenegger
Whereas
and Lou
before
Ferrigno.
You just walked out there in your underwear and waved and walked off, and you won.
And you. That's basically what it was.
Now we're not doing that.
No. Now
you got to go flex and tan yourself and go
oil up, and you got to. Yes, you have to be your best now to get top dollar and to get that thing sold quick, like you want to sell it.
Yeah, you used to be able to strut out there in your ruse and give a thumbs up. And you won the whole trophy and the cash and everything. Yeah, no.
That is so true, man.
Not now. You definitely need to present your property differently, cleaner, better. If there's some things you can do to spruce it up.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember 5, 6, 7 years ago, us telling people to go through the ringer to clean it up and get it ready, right? Like there was a time in a day where it was like listing agents would come to your house and spend an hour there telling you how bad it was.
Yeah.
And things you need to do all over your house. Listing agents for the last 36 months have just been, hey, sign this so I can put it on the MLS. And before they could sneeze and get a lockbox on there,
10 offers.
It's gone.
Yeah.
It's gone. So it's going to be a funny thing to see agents work again. It's going to be real funny.
That's right. They got to hustle, man.
I'm
if they want the
already
business,
hearing it.
if they want to hustle, they got to, they want the business. They got to
That's
hustle.
a whole nother topic, but it's going to be interesting to see how that shakes out. Okay. And then I wrote, price it properly. Values, 6 months ago are not the same as now. So I'll give you an example. When I used to send out houses to our clients, I would go back 12 months on the comps, right?
Right.
Things stayed fairly consistent.
You can't do that right now, man.
Man, you can't do that.
No.
I go back 5 and 6 months on the houses I'm sending out because that is something that happened in, what is this now, October? Something that happened in June of 21 or July or any of those. There's nothing like that now. Or August, I'm sorry, I go back a year. Even November and December and January of 21 and 22, nothing's the same.
No.
I go back 5 or 6 months now. And even if it's on the back end, I'm cautiously looking at it.
Yeah, you would much prefer to look at something that's happened in the last 3 months.
Big time.
If you had 10 comps and,
well, that's
5 or whatever closer.
Because that's reality right now.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And as you know, we make loans and sit in loan committee, and loan committee is dealing with that too, because if they're fixing flips or refinances of some sort, it's going to be another 3 to 6 months before those deals. So it's like, what's going to happen with the pricing?
Yeah.
But for buyers and sellers as well, I mean, I think one thing that prices are going down, if you might read some clickbait headline. I mean, but what they don't say is like, and kind of I was thinking about it is, it's almost like you had an empty bucket and you walked down to the ocean and started filling it up, and you filled it to the top, and then you start walking back, and some of it sloshes out, but you still got a big bucket full of water.
Yeah.
And so everybody's just talking about all the water that's fallen out of the bucket. But if you rewind, it's like, I mean, you had an empty bucket 3 years ago.
Great point.
Like the prices are so much greater than they were 3 years ago.
Yeah.
But headlines say, oh, prices are going down.
Yeah.
Well, prices are up, 100% in the past 4 years.
Yes.
So if they come down 10%, you're still up. 90%.
It reminds me of the old excuses the administration just gave on the gas prices. It was $5 and like, well, it's down to $4.50. It's like, oh, well,
yeah, that's right.
Okay.
I remember when it was $1. So
right. It's still historically high, but it is coming back down. So I just want sellers and people to be aware that you're the ones that are now becoming a little bit less in control than what you were. You
for sure.
You were sitting, king of the castle, but
100%.
Things are now shifting a little to where you're losing that grip and you're losing that control. And I'm here to tell you, and I know that, our producer Alec will do a good job of pointing out some things I said a year ago versus now. But if you heard me say sell a year ago, you're really going to hear me say it now, because things are, from the seller side, are not going to be getting better anytime soon.
No,
not
time.
If you're so. That's why I mean, and again with the now or never. I mean, I don't want to be that bleak or that I don't know, that stark and that contrast to now or never. Yeah. But I definitely believe, like, if you said when, I'd say right now.
Yeah.
So it's like, when? Right now.
Yeah. If you come to me in the spring and you say, hey, I want to sell this, you quoted me a price in October and November, it's going to be way different.
Yeah. That's
10% different, 5% different for sure. So just keep that in mind. I'm happy to discuss that with you, talk about it, anything that I can do to help you with that selling.
That's good for sellers, for sure.
I mean, they definitely need to know kind of what's coming up. Okay. Yeah. Anything else to add for sellers?
No, that's good.
Okay. Buying. Now, we're starting to, I got 50 analogies for this.
I do too, man.
But you're now buying and like, whew, all of a sudden you're relaxing a little bit. You don't have to stand. Somebody just handed you a chair. You've been standing up at church for 4 hours. Somebody just gave you a chair and you just, so I'm finally going to sit down. The buyers are going to be in a lot better position soon. For sure. They're not there yet. Buyers aren't running around skipping and jumping and screaming and hollering. There are some indicators that show that the buyers are going to be at a better position soon. And
Yes.
one of the first ones, that I'm talking to people and I'm saying is you can be a little more picky.
Yeah.
You can, because
good.
Douglas, you and I know from into 20, very into 20 and 21. I mean,
No, you could. No,
you had, if you had to jump on and buy it now, or one of the other 15 people that were looking at that property would buy it. Right?
Yes.
That is not the case now. You can be a little more picky on what it is that you're looking for and what you're choosing to offer on.
Yeah. I kind of thought about it. It's like the crowded high school dance floor, man. And then it comes on a song that's a little.
Alanis Morissette comes on and everybody clears off.
Well, or it's a song. It's a song that like you actually have to be able to dance.
Yeah.
To get out there.
Yeah.
And as a guy who can, if you can dance, and it's like, then you've got the pick of the litter. Like you got as far as, now I can go ask this girl to dance, where before you couldn't ask the girl to dance because everybody was out there dancing. So
that's right.
I think from a buyer's perspective, there's an opportunity.
Yeah, I do. I agree.
Because things have changed and it's just weeded out a lot of those guys with 2 left feet.
Big time. And they can't get on the floor anymore because the guys that can dance are there. Well, the buyers that can dance are buying. And they've got a better selection. Yeah. I bought more in the last 3 months than I had. I think I've said this in the last 12. Right. Because of, and I'm not getting any kind of killer deals. I think I've said this out loud. Like, it just has to fit my 15-year payoff program. And if it does, I'm buying it because, my areas. But you can be a little bit more picky and you can start to choose a little bit more. And I don't want to do that. A year ago, it was, if I send you a property, if you wait an hour, it's gone. So those are different things that you can do now. Stick to your guns. Go back to, we did one a few weeks ago on don't waste the recession. And one of the things we talked about during the recession was to tweak your numbers and look at the way you analyze a property and make sure that that's what you want to do coming up. This is one of those things where you can be patient and stick to that. There are options that are coming that will fit that mold and fit what you're looking for. And now I'm not saying you're going to get every one of them, but instead of there being 8 and 9 investors on that one property, there's now you and somebody else. So your chances of landing that property are much higher. Yeah.
I mean, there's no doubt for the last 2 years you've had to settle.
Big time.
You just settle with what you can get. Now you can be a little more choosy, a little picky, and get what you want.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. With rates rising, your buying will go down, but that shouldn't deter you. All this does is have you buy, a little bit differently, maybe a different product or a different area. But, I used that example earlier of a buyer buying a $200,000 house. They're now looking at $150,000. Well, I got news for you. There's $150,000 houses in our market that are solid rentals. Killers. That are good.
Yeah,
I mean,
awesome.
That's what I don't want you to think. It's like, I have a portfolio of homes, you do, and a 3-2 in Raleigh, we probably paid one price here for this one, a different price here for this one, and a different price here for this one, and they're all up and down. Right. Yeah. So I don't particularly get caught up in, hey, I got a great steal on that one. What I'm trying to do is pay off debt and get these free and clear. Right. So
build your portfolio.
Right. And if you're finding a property right now in that 150, please don't be down on that. If you were looking at 200, what do you care? You're borrowing less, you got a little bit lower rent, but the system is still the same. Yeah. You're still shooting for pay down. You're still shooting for, 15 or 20 year payoff plan. It's still the same thing. Now, do you always have to buy the 150s now? No, you don't. It could come back to where you can get the other one. But I think if I sound frustrated with this, it's because I'm talking to a lot of people on the phone right now that are missing. They're like, what? I'm like, and my reaction is, what are you about? Like, you're still going to get a good rental in a good area, and you're still creating the same equity, the same pay down that you would be on this one. And
I think about this a little bit too. I think about it too. First, I was thinking about what's your goal? Like, what are you trying to accomplish? This is just the vehicle to get you from point A to point B. Yeah. I mean, and it's a rental property, but it's also like a rental car. Like, do you drive the economy car or do you drive the luxury car? Do you get the Jeep or the convertible, or do you get the 4-door, or do you get the minivan, or do you get the Suburban? It depends on where you're trying to go and who you're with, and you fit it in your budget. And sometimes sometimes you go to a tropical island and you want the Jeep.
Yeah.
Or a convertible. And sometimes you go
skiing and you need the Tahoe.
and you need the big family vehicle, or sometimes you're just and you need an economy. So whatever you use, whatever mode of transportation gets you to where you're trying to go that fits. And that's what you're saying here. It's like, whether it's this house or this property, this value, it doesn't matter as long as it helps you get to where you're trying to go. Because this isn't, you want to have a property that you're proud of, that you can put out there in the marketplace that people will want to rent and live in because it's somebody's home.
Yeah.
But it's not your home.
No.
It's your investment.
No. Yes.
And it doesn't matter what it is or where it is, as long as it fits within. Just like when you're renting a car, it doesn't matter if you're driving an economy car, a hybrid, electric vehicle.
It's temporary and it's not yours.
It's temporary and it's just a means of moving from one place to another. And that's what real estate investing is for investors.
Yeah, because what did you think when you first started buying, Mr. Investor or Mrs. Investor? Did you think that you were going to be able to buy the same way every time, always? If someone told you that, they misled you. Good point. By the way, this is probably the fourth different way for me to buy since I've been buying since 15.
Course.
I'm not. You've been buying a lot longer. I've only been buying 7 years. This is probably the fourth change that I've had to make on how I'm buying real estate. I hope that registers. Because
it should. Because the way the market is going to change, you have to adapt.
It's coming again. I
you
want to say
are a buyer.
7 years of buying. This is the third or fourth time I've had to I'm going to adjust the way that I'm buying.
You can't just do. You think of hitters or pitchers or hitters. The pitcher's not going to throw the same pitch and let the guy hit it out of the park every time.
No. You got to make adjustments and you have to adapt to your environment if you want to thrive. This is good. Me and you talk about this all the time. We use it because of the industry when we talk about real estate agents. And we talk about the ability for them to adapt and to survive. And right now, if those agents are not adapting, they're not going to survive. They're going to be doing something else outside of the real estate world. Yeah. The same thing applies to an investor that owns a rental portfolio.
Yeah.
If you want to continue to scale and grow, you can't continue to buy the same way. You have to buy differently. Yeah. And what that means is maybe you're offering different terms. Maybe you're coming up with a different strategy. Right. Some owner financing might come back next year, right? I'm not seeing that now, but they might come back. There's going to be a different way to buy.
That's good.
And if you don't adapt and adjust, you're going to get beat. Here's another one. How many coaches in the NFL, we love sports analogies. I'll talk about my Ole Miss Rebels. You ready? I'll talk about the Rebels this last weekend. They were up 20-17 LSU at halftime. They got beat 44-20. You know what they didn't do? Adjust. You know what LSU did do?
Oh man,
adjust.
Made some changes
and blew them out. So good for LSU. But my point is, if you're not adjusting right now to the way that you're buying and the way that you're doing your business, then you're not. I'm not going to say you're not going to survive, because you might survive with your current portfolio, but you're not going to thrive moving forward. You're not going to add good properties to your portfolio. You're just going to be sitting on the sidelines because you're not going to see the same property.
Right.
It's not going to be there.
Yeah. That's good. Only thing I would say to it for folks to remember is, as we're talking about rates, is like, I saw this the other day. You remember Ben Caballero, the agent who sells all the new construction homes?
Yeah.
You marry houses, but you date rates. So this is like the property is what you're investing in. You have to worry about the rate to make the deal, but you just date the rates.
Yeah.
The rates come and go. Like the property is what is yours. So when you find a property that makes sense for you, get it, put it on the financing package that makes sense for you, and then.
Yeah. Are you writing this down? Okay. Yeah. I love marry the property and date the rate. That ought to be the highlight of the whole thing. That's fantastic.
You're like, oh my gosh, that's so true.
I tell owners this too, that you're buying the property, not the tenant. Is another example?
That's exactly. You
so
date
what
the
if you got a
tenant.
bad tenant? Get the tenant out. You're buying a killer property. Get the tenant.
Yeah,
This is
you
the same
date the
thing.
tenant. That's the exact same. You buy the property, you date the tenant.
Man, that is so
good.
powerful. Okay, yeah. Y'all just want to stop there. That's it. No,
yeah, that's right.
I think another offer has sharpen your criteria and where you're going. We kind of talked a little bit about that. Zero in on what you're looking for, and then kind of make your offer and stick to it. Right, like. beforehand, if you made an offer for $200,000 cash and closed in 2 weeks, and they came back and said, "Hey, we need 206 because our highest is 205 and blah 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 blah," okay, let's do it. This is not the market for that, because if somebody's telling you not now, there's a 50-50 chance they're just blowing smoke. Right. Stick to your offer, stick to your guns. If you don't get it, fine. Like I said earlier, there's going to be some more. There's going to be more properties that are going to come that'll have an option for you. So stick to what you're offering. Beforehand it was, I got to get the property. Blah, blah, blah. And then you bought poorly. Right.
Yes.
Now is the opportunity to where you can correct some of those mistakes, stay where you're at on the next property. And if you don't get it, fine. Just know that there's going to be another one. That FOMO for the last 18 months is gone.
It's gone. I mean, as a seller, I've bought and sold a lot, but have sold and repositioned the portfolio over the past 5 years.
Yeah.
It totally changed as a seller, as you know, where, hey, man, if I don't like that offer, that's okay.
Well,
I'll get another offer.
Yeah.
I'll get another offer. Now, the last two have been, okay,
let's move.
I don't know what's coming.
Yeah.
I just want to get rid of. I think of the 6-pack you sold in Cordova.
Yep. Same thing.
Remember that seller?
Yep.
The buyer?
Yep. He came down way more than what he thought he would. And he got rid of it because he knew he had to.
And I don't think he was crying.
He's pretty excited.
I think he was pretty excited.
He still made some money. See, greed takes over with a lot of this because we got so excited about these values the last 18 months. Greed has seeped into everybody. I think now it's beginning to deflate out, and you're going to understand that. Oh gosh, I just did it with my house. That I didn't want to take that price. It was $10,000 less than what I listed it for, and I got an appraisal for that higher price. What am I going to do?
What am I going to do?
I need that capital to help run this other stuff. So, I got to take it. Let's do it and keep going.
So as a buyer, I think your point there was stick to your guns.
Stick to your guns and unless it's just a fire property, but stick to your guns of what you're offering. And if you do not get it, don't feel obligated or don't feel the pressure to move on there because you're not going to see another one. Oh, this is my opportunity. No, wrong.
No,
there's going to be another opportunity. And that, Douglas, will drive prices down.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
Is going to bring prices down and start to slow this market up a little bit by itself.
Yeah.
Great topic today.
Yeah, man. Awesome. Very good.
I love the way that we can communicate on these guys and give these advice on what to do on both sides of it. If you guys have any questions about anything we talked about, send me an email, dean@crestcore.com. I'll be happy to give you a valuation on your home if you're going to sell it. If you're looking to buy, we can get you a buyer profile built with Crestcore Realty.
Yeah.
I can introduce you to my team and get that going. So if you don't have anything else to add,
good.
All right, I think we're good, guys. We'll see you the next couple of weeks. Thank you.
All right.